another ride to work video. At least I start this video on the ride to work. A lot of my videos I start my ride to work and then I add more video footage later. Anyhow, this video, previous to this one, is a video that is titled Serve the God You Are, or that you are, something like that. Serve the God that you are. In that video, I was pointing out the fact that serving other people is false gods, serving false gods. Serving things and events that you want in your life or need in your life to manifest is serving false idols. To serve your God is to serve your higher mind, to let your higher mind run the show. Let your higher mind direct you, not just give you the desires, which is an intuition, a desire for a thing, but to also to serve your higher mind in all ways, always striving to let your ego mind, your lower mind, your below mind, your human mind, let it be submissive to the higher mind. That's serving God, the God that you are. Letting this avatar, this video character that you're playing in this video game called Earth or life or human life, letting it be subjective to the higher mind, the player of this avatar. You are your human self, but your true essence is eternal consciousness, conscious awareness. Now, you don't want to serve false gods, which is other people, their opinions, how they behave, and all this, that, and the other, and you don't want to serve false idols, things that you need or want in life, so focused in on them and letting them determine who you are. Let your higher mind determine who you are. And being your true authentic self, your true authentic human self, the character that you're playing. Okay. The Bible says, I use the Bible as an occult mystical book, like Neville Goddard did and many others, where I previously used to believe the Bible literally, was a Christian for over 38 years. Very devout Christian. Very zealous one. Anyhow, well, the Bible says you can't serve God and mammon just means bread or earthly needs and wants. You can't serve God and mammon at the same time, and that's true. So always serve the higher God that you are, or the God that you are, your higher mind. Always serve it. Don't let the human ego mind, which is, there's nothing wrong with ego. Everyone thinks ego is bad, just like people think that pride is bad or something like that. Your human ego mind, it just doesn't know. It's here to experience. That's like letting the VR headset, in a video game you're playing with a VR headset, letting it determine everything that you do. No, you let the player determine. You are the player. Your higher mind is the player. Playa. So you let it determine. Now, in that video, not only was I pointing out, don't be serving false gods or other people's opinions, things like that. You determine how you get to experience that individual or the people, as Neville called it, the seeming others. And I also talked about don't be serving false idols, which is, as Neville described, anything that you put on a pedestal that you want to manifest, whether it's a parking space, a free cup of coffee, a new house, better healing, an SP, whatever. Don't make it an idol. You determine. You are God. You say how it is. This thing is mine. I already have this. I have this good relationship with this person. An employer, a spouse, a friend, whatever. You also don't let other people tell you who you are. Just like you don't let outer things like your bank account or even your body tell you who you are. You're the God of your world. You are the conscious awareness of your world. What you determine to be consciously aware of is true for you will manifest to be true for you. It may not happen instantly, but if you are confident in knowing that you are God and walking like God, walking like a God, and playing this game knowing that you are not your avatar or your human self belongs to you, but your true essence is the player, the God. Okay? Now, in that video, I also mentioned that about psychopathy and psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, toxic people. And I was pointing out that all of us have some of the traits here and there. They'll come out of us, what we call, the so-called symptoms of somebody who has psychopathy or is just a straight-up sociopath, narcissistic, toxic person, or psychopath, or whatever. They're on the psychopathy scale to some degree or another. All of us have some of those traits, or we will express some of those traits sometimes. Toxicity, right? And we also have shadows, like Carl Jung talked about our shadows. We have our darkness. One of mine is aggression, okay? And I use that to my advantage. I've taken that shadow of mine, my hate, my lust, my anger, all of those type of things, and I've taken those shadows and I integrate them and I use them for good. I alchemize them for good and don't let them run my life, nor do I try to push them down and pretend I don't have these tendencies as the human character that I'm playing, okay? Your human character has its own personality traits, its own looks, and preferences, likes, dislikes, tastes, including taste of food, taste of music, and clothing, things like that. And you work with that character that you have, okay? Just like in a video game, or like in D&D, in Dungeons and Dragons. I don't play video games, I don't play D&D, but I have lots of loved ones that do, and they love that stuff. And so I kind of understand, So anyhow, plus, I was in the 80s. I remember going to school with kids that were playing D&D when it was first coming out. But anyhow, becoming popular, I should say. But anyhow, when you understand that all a psychopath or a sociopath is, or a narcissist is a person who has some of the worst traits of human beings, and they're just really concentrated in a concentrated form, okay? And a lot of people that are sociopaths, narcissists that I have met in my life and are toxic like that, they a lot of times do have trauma from their childhood years. It's bad trauma, okay? Mental, physical, sexual nature, things like that. They have trauma, and it does do something to the development of the human self. I don't talk about this much, but I was a foster child, an actual certified foster parent. I wasn't a foster child, but I was a foster parent to a foster child. And this foster child had RAD, and don't laugh at the acronym, reactive attachment disorder. And the way I describe it is they're junior psychopaths. You can look up RAD, reactive attachment disorder. And this little boy, I know, and how they get it is they don't, in the first 18 months of a baby's life, a human baby's life, they need physical affection, the touch of the mother, the father, somebody, anybody. And children that have RAD, they have discovered a lot of them, it came from Eastern Europe is what they found. But anyhow, a lot of them are orphans that are raised in as infants. They're held in orphanages, and they get their diapers changed, they get all their physical needs, they get their water, their food, all those things taken care of, but they don't get any affection and picked up daily and held close to the mother's breast or to a woman's breast or to a man's chest, anything. They don't get any of that, and it affects the development of the human brain. And so those children now, they feel like they're totally disassociated from everyone. Reactive attachment disorder, or RAD, it can create that. Now, so anyway, and I've met some people that had some horrible events that were sociopaths, narcissistic sociopaths, and they had horrible things I found from their family and things like that knew them, that when they were young and these horrible things happened to them. So it can create different types of trauma. It can create these things. Now, so that is what that is. Now, those characters, these people on the psychopathy scale, they are those characters, people that are criminals, things like that, and just truly criminally minded. They're on those scale. That's what they are. That's their characters. Okay. So, how do you react to that? How do you deal with that? All you can do in life with anybody is just an asshole. Anybody. Negative personality, just someone who's always a Debbie Downer type person, right? All that kind of stuff. All you can do is every human being. Neville Goddard talked about the seeming other, and then he would say that all the world, including other people, is you pushed out. It's your mirror, right? So if people have bad traits, does that mean you have the bad traits in you? It's mirroring back? Sometimes. Just like some people say, well, guys that are homophobes and are so scared of gay people and stuff like that, it's because deep down they have homosexual tendencies. That may be true of some guys. There's another deer on the side of the road. Had a deer on the side of the road the other morning when I was doing a video. Oh dear, it's a deer. But those guys, most of those guys that are like that, I've worked with in the blue collar world, things like that, that are like that, they're not, it's not that they have homosexual tendencies. Most of those guys, they either just want to be cool and sound cool like the rest of the guys, or they're some sort of, they feel like that's a wrong or immoral behavior. Is homosexuality unnatural? It's unnatural if you're trying to procreate and have children, absolutely. But people having, and I'm a former Christian saying this, but people that just want to have love and enjoy each other's bodies sexually or affectionately or whatever, that's none of our fucking business as long as it's consenting adults. Now, so people have these, they'll just because you see something in the outer world doesn't mean it's mirroring some bad trait within you, okay? But understand that sometimes that is true, and it's something that's within you. But again, someone who doesn't like liars, and they just have this obsession about liars, does that mean that they're truly deep down a liar? In some cases, but most of the time, it's because they've been lied to, and they're just got trauma about it. They got their bitterness in them. They're just tired of people fucking lying, so now they think they don't trust anybody. So it's projected out to them that people will seemingly be dishonest to them when they're really not, or they're actually dishonest and they lie and stuff like that. I love left lane campers. When people just camp in the left lane and don't give a fuck, not even driving the speed limit. That's so considerate. Anyhow, people that, and I don't left lane camp, so does that mean, you see what I'm saying? It's just, whatever you're consciously aware of, you're going to see more of, okay? If you're looking for red Corvettes, you're probably going to start seeing more and more red Corvettes. Anyhow, the point being is, when the things are expressed on the outer world, it's a reflection of a state you're in. But if something is reflected in your outer world, just like if it's reflected, you've chosen the state of mind that you always have an abundance of money, but your bank account right now is showing you ain't got hardly anything, right? And you stay true to your vision. You stay true to the fact that you decide how it goes. And you know what? I got plenty of money. I always have an abundance of money. Plenty, more than enough to pay my bills and live the life I want, okay? And you have that. Eventually, that's going to be reflected. I'm not saying overnight you're going to inherit a bunch of money or win the lottery or something, but it's going to be reflected that truth. You hang on to it. So if people in your outer world are reflecting certain things and traits and behaviors you don't like, you simply hold on to the fact that, for me, one of my daily affirmations or whatever, reminders, or just my daily state of mind, really, is that everyone respects me. I don't care if they love me or like me. You will respect me. And so I am treated with respect. It doesn't, just absolute respect. Now, that doesn't mean they disrespectful behind my back, or, people online are disrespectful. That's not what I'm talking about. But if I have to interact with them, they're going to treat me with respect and talk to me with respect. I don't care if it's an employer, a supervisor. I don't care if it's somebody that hates me, hates my guts, things like that. Everybody's going to treat me with respect. Now, and that is reflected back to me. It could be the guy at the grocery store, whatever. It doesn't matter. The cashier, doesn't matter. Everyone's going to treat me with respect. But I also am in the mindset that I always treat people with respect. So, with people that are just not behaving the way you would like for them to, I don't care if it's your child, I don't care if you're an adult, I don't care if it's your parent, I don't care if it's your spouse, if it's a relative, it's an employer, employee, fellow employee if you're a boss. People, how you react, how you decide things go. You are the God of your world. No one else gets to decide who you are, what kind of person you are, or anything like that. No one gets to tell you what state of mind you're in about anything. You. Okay? I'll give you a case in point. If you're in a I've had some failed marriages and relationships, let me tell you. But I didn't know this stuff. I didn't understand. But anyhow, but I also believe, my personal belief, is that the woman of my dreams that I had since I was young, and in between had marriages and relationships, the woman I was truly looking forward that would be right for me, I look back now, I understand, I met her 9 years ago, and we've been together and married 9 years, is I also had to become the man that would fit right with that woman, the kind of husband and person. And so I had to myself, right? And I went through a journey. And I know people, some manifest people say, this is not a journey, there is no time. There is experience. And, when we talk about with age comes experience. So that means in human age, in human time, yes, experience does matter. Okay, I drove trucks for years, dump trucks and combination trucks. I've operated equipment for years off and on. Okay, with that comes experience. You can have a natural talent for things, but in the end, you have to have some experience too on your belt. So in this human life, time does matter, just like length, width, and depth, the other measurements in this 3D reality. Okay, well, time does matter. It doesn't matter, but it does matter. That's part of the divine paradox. So anyhow, I had to go through the experiences and things like that to become the man and the husband that I am today. And yes, I could have put in my mind, as a young fellow in my first marriage, I could have put in my mind, I am happily married and I'm a wonderful husband to a wonderful wife, blah, blah, blah. She's right for me, I'm right for her, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but I didn't know that shit back then. My first marriage was in the late 80s. I didn't know that shit. Actually, the middle 80s. Yes, I got married very young, my first marriage. I didn't know this shit. I had no clue. Okay, I reacted to the outer world, to the false gods and false idols. And I also reacted to every fucking thought, impulsive thought, and worrying thought, and depressed thought, and angry thought that came through my head. Okay? I didn't realize that I am the conscious awareness that's watching the thinker. I'm not the thinker. I'm not the feeler of human emotions. I'm the conscious awareness that's watching the human emotions. And if I choose a certain human emotion or choose a certain thought that comes to the head to be true, my third eye sees that, and that's what it's focused on, then that's what's going to be true for my human ego self. You see? Instead of letting my human senses, 5 senses, and its feelings, and human thoughts and stuff like that, my human ego run the ship, I have learned to allow my higher awareness, God. When I was a Christian, I used to pray, and have problems, and I'd say, God, just take over my life. Show me how to live. I submit to you. I give my life to you, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Have your will, not my will, but thy will be done, God. Then I had to learn what God is. God is your higher consciousness. It is represented by in the as above, so below. It's represented in the above. It's represented in heaven, because there's actually no up. Okay? In space, there is no up. It is the top of Jacob's ladder where the angels were going up and down. This is as above, so below, as below, so above. It's represented in where Christ told Peter, I give you the keys of the kingdom. Whatsoever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatsoever loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. It's that correspondence between above and below and above, as within, so without, as without, so within. And I had to understand that I am one with the top and the bottom, okay, of Jacob's ladder, where the angels are going up and down. You are the top and bottom of the Kundalini staff, sometimes called a staff, but it's your spine, where the Kundalini snake goes up and down, okay, in Hinduism and the sort, okay, up and down. It's an up and down. It's a constant exchange. So when you learn to listen to the higher mind, to heaven, to God, which is you, your conscious awareness, when you learn to listen to it will guide you. But at the same time, as you are focused on with your ego mind, your conscious awareness is going to go, okay, you're focused on these negative thoughts, these worries, and trying all this, that, and the other. That's going to be true for you. If you're focused on the outer world with your 2 eyeballs, okay, instead of your single eye, your I amness, and your single eye, your third eye, and your I as in intuition, and as your I as inspiration, and not on your 2 eyes of instinct and impulse and intellect, okay, where you try to use logic and figure this life out and blah, blah, blah. So I had to go through those things to learn to become the man that I always desired to be, the kind of man I desire to be. I'm proud of who I am now. I am very proud of the man I am. I have been for a few years, thanks to metaphysics and understanding this stuff. When I was a Christian, I was always down on myself. First off, you think you're a sinner and you're, not worthy. And then you want an outer God to control you and tell you what to do, blah, blah, blah. And I am also very proud of the husband I am. In my first marriage, I was a butthead. I didn't physically abuse her or nothing like that, but I was just a dumbass, okay? And then I had marriage after that, right? So, and I had relationships, long-term relationships where we weren't like married, but it was like married. Just weren't legally married in the eyes of Babylon, but anyway, in the eyes of the state and the church, we weren't properly married. But I've been legally married too, more than once. And those marriages failed because I got with women I wasn't really right for, and they weren't right for me. But they served the purpose. Things in your life will happen. If you look back, you'll see that your life is always, your higher mind is always trying to lead you to what you want. Now I know I have the wife of my dreams, and that I can do a whole video and explain that. But my family's heard it 1,000 times. They know it. But I have the wife of my dreams. I mean, everything from she's brunette to I love the way her body is, the built. It's my kind of attraction. I like kind of smaller women, but I like women with hips, blah, blah, blah. I know she's listening to this video. She's blushing. But anyhow, a certain way they dress. Oh, my God. Anyway, personality traits, things like that. Yeah, it's just amazing. But anyhow, she's smart, smarter than me in a lot of ways. I'm intuitive. I'm a very intuitive person. Matter of fact, I'm a Cancer, and they say of all the zodiac signs, the Cancer is the most intuitive. Well, I am very intuitive, and I used to think it was the Holy Spirit or whatever, or angels whispering in my ears because I would know things. But I'm a very intuitive person, learned how to listen to that. It's just my higher mind. You have the same abilities. To listen to your higher mind, doesn't matter what zodiac symbol or what sign you were born under. But my wife is, of course, she's just a female anyway, but my wife is intuitive, very loving woman. But I had to learn these things, right? Now, okay, I have arrived, and of course I always like to arrive early at work anyway, so got plenty of time to chit-chat. Me. Yeah. Let's see time. Okay, yep. So, anyhow, what I want to get at in this video is those outer gods, not so much the idols of the things and events that you want to manifest in your life. Those are idols. If you put them on a pedestal and make your life conditional, you won't be happy till you get those things. You already have those things. If you desire them, you already have them. You just need to accept the fact that you have it. Decide that you have them. That's all. Choose that you have it. That's all. Choose between the French fries and onions you want with your burger. And once you've made your choice and you've made your decision and you've decided, like I talked about in a previous video, you hold firm. And even if you hear the cook holler in the background, there's no onion rings. That's not what I heard you say. You always decide and know that your decision is final. Your decision is final. Now, you can't serve God or your higher mind and your higher self in the outer world. The outer world is truly a reflection. Now, other people are a reflection. Now, let me explain, like I've been trying to explain in this video, is that because people have negative traits doesn't mean you have them in you. It could be that you're just so focused on people being liars or people being toxic, that's why liars or toxic people are always showing up. Or every man I get with is a cheater, or every woman I get with is a bitch or a cheater or whatever. It's because you're in the awareness of it, right? If you're always like money, always just, goes as soon as you get it, or cars never last long, or these type of things. You see what I'm saying? You just simply change the state of mind that you're in. It's a lucid dream that you're in. So you are basically, as Neville said, God, or the universal mind, universe, the all, source, consciousness, simply dreaming or living through you, through the human ego you. So in the human ego you is, when you understand what it's for for experiencing. It's the experiencer VR headset in this world, or the scuba mask and the oxygen tank to explore the underworld world. You can't explore or play the VR, can't play the video game without the VR headset, and you can't, explore the underwater and scuba and dive or whatever, underwater dive without the equipment. Well, that's what your ego is. That's what your human senses are and all that. But when you pull back and that silent, calm, still awareness, it's just one eyeball sitting back there. Okay, that's you. That's your conscious awareness. You're aware of the thinker. And you're aware of the thoughts that are going through the head, the feelings, but you don't have to choose to be aware of them, to stare at them, basically, to put your eyeball on them. You put your eyeball on what you want to be true. So as far as other people go, they don't get to determine, like I said in my previous video, they don't get to determine who you are. You determine who you are, just like your outer circumstances about your finances or what the doctor says or anything like that does not determine who you are. You don't let other people determine and define who you are, the person, the human being that you want to be, okay? The character that you want to play. Other characters don't get to define who you are. Now, if you make, well, I'm not happy unless this person's happy, that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. You be happy, and for that matter, you can choose that that person is happy. But either way, you be happy. That goes in marriage, anything, dude. Now, you may say, well, what do I do if I'm with somebody? Now, first off, I'm going to do some people do a disclaimer, but I'm just going to say the obvious. If someone's being physically or just verbally abusive to you, get the fuck out. Just get physically away from that person. Okay? That's just, to me, don't put up that shit. Don't put up people's toxic mouths. Don't put up with people bitching and mistreating you. I don't care if it's man, woman, husband, wife. I don't give a fuck who it is. Don't let people abuse you and misuse you and talk down to you and treat you like shit. But for you to even make that action, you have to decide. You know why people stay in abusive relationships, even if it's just orally or verbally abusive and physically abusive? You know why they stay? Yeah, you can say, well, they don't have any place to go, but that's not really true. You know why they stay? Because if they decided they were gone, something would happen. A situation would open up for them. No doubt in my mind. Where they could physically go and take some of their stuff and, if there's children involved, whatever. But a lot of people stay in those situations because they stay in the state of their mind. But I love this person. I love this person. No, love your fucking self, goddamn. Love yourself. One thing I like about Anton LaVey's Satanism, he was the founder of the Church of Satan and all that shit, is one of the core tenets of LaVeyan Satanism is not to waste love on ingrates. In other words, don't bother. Now, people will say, now here we go, this lets me segue into something else. People talk about forgiving. And I'm fond of saying to people, at work or something like that, in my family or something, I'll say, I don't forgive. And, I know the spiritual community goes, oh, you should forgive because that'll create health problems in your body, or that's just spiritual blockage, or you're not spiritually enlightened, or you don't realize that you really are God of your world, that you can forgive people, even though God said forgive everybody. Okay, what I mean by I don't forgive is if you've shown me your behavior, then that tells me I don't want to be around you. That's what that means. It doesn't mean I want you to get your karma and bad shit to happen. When I say I don't forgive, it simply means now I know what kind of person you are. Now, people will say, well, you get to choose. You can choose how you experience even a toxic person or a bad person. Yes, you can. Listen, we're all sovereign nodes of the one God. Now, but someone else's sovereignty does not get to infringe on yours. And you don't get to do that. Mental telepathy and control people with your mind is all bullshit. But anyhow. So, if someone is, let's say, a toxic or a negative person, just a bad person or a completely evil person or whatever, the only thing you get to choose, because you're fully sovereign, is how, if you have to be around that person, how you experience that person. And I know this for a fact. A person who's a piece of shit to everybody else will be kind or at least respect you because you have chosen. You're always respected, and this person included. You choose a version of them, but you can't change their core version. If they're playing a toxic character or an evil person or a narcissist or whatever, just a bad person, if they're bad in business or whatever, you choose, no, I have good deals with this person right now. All these type of things. But in the end, I know that person's that way. That's what I mean by I don't forgive. In other words, I know what kind of character you're playing. I respect that. I respect you're an evil piece of shit or whatever. I can respect because we have to have evil people in this world. That's what this world of contrast is all about. But if I have to interact with you, then I am, or with that kind of person, I can choose. I can simply choose how I experience them. If they treat me really good, does not mean that they're good to everyone else. Why? Because they're sovereign. They get to choose their reality. Now you could say, well, can't they affect you? Can't they? No. They could say, well, they can try to imagine that they're being mean to you, or they have their way with you, or mistreat you, or they can bamboozle you, or manipulate you, because that's what toxic people do. Used car salesmen and politicians also do that. So that's why toxic people are get into business, and politicians. That's why they talk about like 4% or something like that of the population, at least in America, are on the psychopathy scale. They're sociopaths, narcissists, toxic people, psychopaths to one degree or another. That go into big business and politics. Well, go figure, because it's about controlling other people, manipulating other people, and being parasites and predators to other people. But when you realize that there's no competition, and I'm not in competition with other people. I've talked about that in videos where I told my wife back in 2000, I believe it was 2019, I told her, I said, I am no longer in competition with my fellow man. I had, come to realize I didn't have to be. There is no competition, okay? That's all an illusion. You don't have to struggle for natural resources. There's plenty of money and things and everything for everyone. Don't believe the bullshit. Lack is an illusion. There's plenty. Recite the fishes and loaves story in the Bible. It's actually two different stories there in the New Testament. The fishes and loaves story. There's such an abundance that there's always left over. There's an abundance, okay? So the thing that you have to understand is you can choose how you interact with a person. Now, it doesn't mean that person, you can't change that person. That's bullshit. You don't change that other person. You don't manipulate them with mind magic or psychology. You don't manipulate them with, you may temporarily manipulate them with a little bit of mind war and psychological operations and things. But anyway, in the end, you just have to, or mental self-defense, mental judo they talk about, mental aikido. Where you just kind of deflect. You can do those type of things, but in the end, you have to imagine that if you have to interact with this person at work or in your life or whatever, that your interaction with them is good. Now, if you're married or in a relationship, I was in a relationship with a sociopathic bitch. But she was also, I didn't know it till later, she was, according to her own family, she was brutally, let's just say physically mistreated as a child. In a very, very horrible, disgusting way. And it did fuck with her head. And so she was very toxic to everyone, her family. I had never met anybody like this. I didn't know how far psychopathy really went. To me at the time, I thought psychopaths were just, people you see in horror movies or some shit. I did not know. Had no clue what a true psychopath is, and what true evil really is. But anyhow, the point being is this video is not about that, but it's about other people. And the seeming others, other people, is if you're in a relationship with such a person, like I talk about when I was mentioning I don't forgive, is they're not going to change. You can't change anyone, okay? But what you can do is choose how you experience them. But in the end, some people, I don't know how they do it, but they find a way to stay in a relationship, marital relationship, or they're related to someone who's a narcissist. And I call narcissists psychopaths light. They have a little bit of a combination in psychopathy of the different traits, but they're not as bad as a straight up sociopath or psychopath. I've talked about in videos. Matter of fact, I talked about it for years. Matter of fact, I'm on the ADL website from 2016 where they quoted me when I was still in the white racialist and Christian identity movement before metaphysics helped me get my head out of my ass and walked away from all that bullshit. I'm still on the ADL website in the archives where I'm the one they talk about. Some white supremacists, white racists, don't agree with Donald Trump and see him as a sociopath, and they quote me and everything. I believe Donald Trump is a sociopath. He's straight up a sociopath. So it doesn't mean that like if you meet someone like that, you can't have a positive outcome with them. But do you really want to hang out with them? It's the same thing. If you want to be in a marital relationship or a relationship with someone who's like that, that's your business. Can you imagine that it goes well for you? Yes. If you really can imagine that and really choose that and decide that's what you truly, genuinely desire, that's you. That's your business. But you can't allow other people to decide who you are. And you are not beholden to anyone else. Okay? You are beholden to the God that you are. You have to follow the God that you are and let that God decide who you are. And that's your higher mind. No one outside of you decides anything. No one else is your God. but yourself. So that is what I want to get at is, and kind of this is a follow-up video to the previous video about serving the God that you are. You truly are the God that you are. You show up to be who you want to be, and if you imagine you're already a great employee, a good person, and that's who you decided to be, any adjustments, or good spouse, any adjustments you need to make in your own personality will automatically happen. They will come. It may come over time. Like for me, it took me years to really understand how to be the person I am now, but also to be the loving husband that I could be. It's part of this video game life. That's why things, when you want to manifest things, sometimes the time between getting them and physically manifesting and physically having them or getting them or experiencing them, and from the time you decided, maybe a little bit of time, maybe some time, because it could be a day, it could be an hour, it could be a day, it could be a month, it could be a decade, 10 years. It can be that because it all depends on you becoming that person and things working out for you. So decide everything you want. Just decide you already have it, because things will come into your life the right time and the right way. And just walk like a God, whether you see the things you want manifested. And this video is more about people, other people, seeing the people behave or treat you the way you want to have the interactions with them you want. You get to choose that. So stop blaming them. Like I said in my previous video, serve the God that you are, is stop blaming other people. Yes, you can say, okay, that person's a piece of shit, or that person's a nice person, or that person's kind of a dumbass, or whatever. But in the end, you decide how your interaction with that asshole, that psychopath, or that really nice person is. You get, because there'll be really nice people and you're in a negative state of mind towards them or about yourself, and your interaction could be shitty, and everybody's be like, what do you mean? I get along well with that person. Ever had that happen in your life? There's a proof that you decide. It's your state of mind, the state of perception you have chosen to be in. So always choose good, that you are in the state of mind that everyone always respects you, that you're always respectful to them, and that you have good interactions with people. But now you understand other characters are just other characters. Other humans are just other characters of the one God. And they are sovereign. They can be who they are. That's their business. But they don't get to decide how they affect you. Only you get to decide how they affect you. And you get to decide how I affect them. I treat them good. I'm kind to them. They see me as awesome. Okay? I'm going to stop the video here and re-listen to it as I start the work morning. Let it play while I'm working. And if I want to add any more to this, but again, this video is specifically about false gods, other people, allowing them to dictate who you are. Even the people that, okay, my wife is really sweet and good to me and affectionate and all these things. She's just a dream, right? But if I'm not in the state that she's loving and sweet to me, how am I going to experience her? You see what I'm saying? So I'll miss out on that. And vice versa for her. That's the way it goes with all of us. All right, I'm going to end it here, and I'll add more to this later. But understand that we are all gods. We're all sovereign beings, sovereign gods, sovereign nodes of the one mind. So everyone is sovereign. It determines what goes on in their reality. So, but you can't change another person. You can change how you experience that person. So the asshole is still going to be an asshole. The jerk is still going to be a jerk. The toxic person is still going to be toxic. The sociopath is still going to be a sociopath. But how they come up in your life, how they show up in your life, is determined by what you choose is true for you. So any relationship you have with a person, I'm not just talking about romantic or marital relationships, I'm talking about all human interaction relationships you have at work, in your neighborhood, relatives, whatever, friends, enemies, whatever. They are going to show up as you choose them. And how do you choose? By what you decide is true for you. But you can't change that person. You can only decide how you experience that person. So the person can be a murderous psychopath. They won't harm you for that matter, okay? They may harm somebody else, victimize someone else. It is true that as said in metaphysical circles and spiritual circles, that the victim and the victimizer have to be on the same vibrational frequency, or they can never meet. Okay? It's just like I knew a guy who was at an ATM, one of them walk-up ATMs years ago, and he seen this guy was acting really suspicious, and he described him to me, and he said, man, he said, I found on the news he robbed the next guy. He was just kind of standing there menacingly, strangely behind everyone, behind the ATM there, or around the ATM. And he robbed literally the next person. And the description and what he was wearing and everything was literally, but he didn't rob him. Don't be in the victim mindset, okay? So don't be in the victim mindset that you're a victim of a toxic person, asshole, abusive spouse, whether it's verbally or physically or both, or an abusive person or anything, abusive boss, anything, abusive neighbor. You choose. No one can control how your life goes. So the outside world can't control your reality. That includes the government, corporations, anything. No one can choose what's true for you. Your doctor can't choose what's true for you. He can pronounce something upon you, and you think of he's some sort of priest of health over your body, some high priest, and what he says or she says, if it's a female doctor, what they say is true. You don't have to believe any of that shit. And again, it's about what you decide is true for you. No matter what the physical outside world and seemingly facts and all that show and situation at the moment shows, you don't have to believe that. Believe your third eye, not your two eyes. Don't believe your human senses. Believe your conscious awareness, what you really are. Because your conscious awareness is aware of what your human senses have going on, what they see, what they think, all this type of things, right? What they feel, what they hear. But you can decide, well, this is true for me, even if it's not physically true at the moment and everything looks like it's not true. Well, it's the same thing because this video is mainly about dealing with other people, not situations that you want to manifest, but situations with people, other people, the seeming other. They are sovereign gods too. You can't choose what's true for them in their life, but you can choose, and they can't choose what's true for you. So you can choose you have a good relationship or outcome with them, even if it's a used car salesman. In his mind, he's going to screw you over, whatever, okay? But you can choose, no, I get a good deal or things work out or whatever, right? And that's your sovereignty. So you can say, well, how does that affect, what if they will that they can screw you over? They won't, that's not how they're going to show up. They're not going to show up to victimize you. It just won't be on their mind or something. You see what I mean? So again, everyone is sovereign. The victimizer and the victim are both sovereign. They both have to choose what's true for them in their lives. How they interact with other humans, and what's possible for you. What you choose is true for you. You can be the victim, or you can not be the victim. You can be a victimizer for that matter. It all depends on what you choose. But the victimizer, the most evil and vile person, is sovereign. They can choose what's true for themselves. Okay? But they can't determine other people's reality. There has to be someone who fits. If they want to victimize, they're looking for a victim. It's a shark looking for someone to eat, right? Or a snake looking for someone to bite and put their venom in. They'll pass the person by, or the thing by, or the fish by, or whatever. That's not on their vibe and not on their vibration. It's not in the mindset that they can be a victim, that they're a victim. It's the person who is in the mindset that they're a victim. You see what I'm saying? Everyone is sovereign, and no one can interfere with your sovereignty, and you can't interfere with theirs. You see, you're not infringing on anyone else's sovereignty when you determine and choose how they're going to show up for you. That's not infringing on their sovereignty. You're just choosing the version of you that's experiencing that person in a pleasant way. Remember, you are your own God. You're God, acting as your own God. You are the universal mind, and you have your individuated sovereignty. You're your God. You're not the God of anyone else's world, but you need to remember you're also not the servant to anyone else. No one else is a God over you. Everyone else is God, or gods, expressions of the one mind, so-called God. And we're individual nodes of that expression, or gods. But there is no God or gods over you. You don't have to serve anyone else. So you determine how your life goes, how the other people fit in your life. So now, let's deal with the issue of the so-called collective consciousness. All right? Well, let me explain it this way. We're all experiencing the same world, basically. but from our own perspectives, our own states of mind. Case in point, here in America, gas prices are high, whatever, the rent's too damn high. And people's rents are going up because, the cost of living, blah, 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 is going up. But Neville Goddard was in the Army, drafted in the Army during World War II, and he wanted to get out, and he wanted to honorably get out. He didn't want to go to combat. He didn't want to deal with any of that shit. People might say that's selfish, unpatriotic, or a traitor, or a coward. Who fucking cares? Don't worry about what other people have to fucking say. Other expressions of the one mind have to say. They're living their own individuated, sovereign expressions and perceptions and states. Chosen ones. Well, he got out, and he got out honorably. Okay, you can either suffer during a Great Depression or do like Henry Ford or someone and prosper. We're all experiencing the same situations collectively, but how we all get to see them in our own way. By the way, I've used this analogy before. We're all snowflakes and fingerprints. There are some fingerprints that are pretty close to looking about the same. Some snowflakes, their geometric shape under a microscope can look almost exactly the same as others. We've got a twin here where I work, and he has a twin brother, and they look exactly, so identical. And their voices, their body actions, even the way they talk and behave, and their personalities are very, very, very close. Wow, it's kind of cool. But there's still going to be a difference. Years ago, I was real good friends with a twin. Him and his brother looked very much alike, except for there was a big, obvious difference. One was taller than the other, and that's because the one that I was friends with, the shorter one, when he was young, he had a heart issue. Well, that heart issue, the other one didn't have it. There's differences. So some things maybe almost look exactly the same. The two of us can get rich, and it look like we did it the same way. But there'll be some subtle differences. But all of us experience or have a different perception and a line of sight, how we see things. And it's about the state of mind that we choose. So I can choose to be wealthy during a depression. I can choose that I'm doing fine and I have no problem affording gas and a high price or high grocery, high rent, high mortgage payment, high house payment, high cost of living society. It doesn't matter. That's how powerful you really are. Just because you see the same social economic problems or situations like everyone else, you can choose to see it that it doesn't affect you or it actually benefits you. That's how sovereign you can be. You can be the one person out of 1,000 that everything is working out for. Okay, let's go back to the one-on-one relationships, not the collective, but the one-on-one relationships. Let's say, for example, you're in a marriage and you say, you know what, fuck it, I've got some issues, problems, this, that, and the other, but I'm just going to choose the fact and see the world that I'm happily married. And you're married to this person, one of two things is going to happen. Things are going to get better. If you have to change your behavior, they have to change it, whatever, things are going to get better. Okay? Or that person, if they just no longer fit you, or you weren't a good fit in the first place, because, there's a lot of people out here who can be attractive to you, right? Sexually and physically attractive to you. And you can have some certain things in common. You both like to work on cars and go fishing, because there's women like to work on cars and go fishing. So all that, but or whatever. You both like to be in dressmaking, I don't care. But whatever. But you still just don't have that chemistry, just aren't a good fit personality wise, right? So, okay. Then that person will get out of your life. You don't have to do anything. Neville talked about you can do nothing and don't lift a finger and all this kind of stuff when it comes to manifestation in general. That goes with people too. You just be in a state that you have a good, happy marriage. What may happen is over time, like it's happened to me, the present marriage ends or the present relationship ends, and then eventually over time you find you get that right person, your so-called soul mate, your twin flame, whatever, the person that's right for you, right? It's because whatever you choose, it's the same thing with non-gods, but you can make false idols out of things and situations, such as you want more money or a better job or something. Let's say you just want more money. Well, what's going to happen is at your job, either money will come in some other way, or at your job you'll get a big raise, a promotion, things like that, bonus, whatever. Or that job will end for some reason. You don't have to go quit or nothing. You don't have to go look for another job. You just be in a state that you have more money or a better paying job or something like that, or better pay at the job you got. Well, even if that job is not right for you to get that better pay, and you think it is, it'll end. You go, oh my God, what's happening? And what's happening is you're experiencing what in tarot cards is a tower moment, Okay. Oh my God, it looks like everything's falling apart, and actually it's working out for you. It's kind of like a marriage ending, a relationship ending. At first, the breakup is horrible, the divorce, but then that's what happened is that door shut to open another door for you.
Hey, Ryan?
And it was our foreman here calling me and take care of some business for me. I need some trucks to get in here. But anyhow, where was I at? Okay. Yeah, you're going to you're going to find out, whether it has to do with people or situations or things, that once you have chosen and decided to see the world from that state, that events will happen. Some things can manifest instantly and some things take time. But it's going to be, you stick to that state knowing that you are God. And again, like the topic of this video, there's no outer gods that can determine, just like there's no outer situations that can determine your reality. So like a better paying job, whatever, something will happen to get better. Well, it's the same thing with relationships with people, and I don't mean just romantic or marital relationships. I'm talking about all kinds of relationships. Toxic people, they'll get out of your life, for that matter. But the ones you do have to run across or deal with, it'll be as you won't even know they're toxic, or if it's a temporary thing, or they'll just definitely not have an effect on you, because you are the God of your world. No one gets to decide. Okay, everyone else is sovereign in their world, but you're sovereign in your own. So you get to choose everything that is true for you. So if you're not liking something, a relationship you got or a situation, either imagine it's better and choose. When I say imagine, I mean you choose in imagination. You accept the fact that it's already a done deal, and you just accept that and allow it to happen. And you don't look at the outer world or the outer person and their personality and their behavior at the present to determine your truth and what's going to happen for you or what is true for you. And it'll manifest in a natural way. It'll take here in this physical world where we have time is stretched out and the eternal now seems to have a past and a present and a future, but there is only just a now. You just simply just let things to play out. And just like when you want to manifest things or better situations, it's the same thing with people. You just simply stick to your desire, your chosen desire to be true. Just stick to it. Just keep saying, no, that's not what I've chosen. That's not this relationship. I have a better business relationship, better employee relationship, a better neighborhood or relative or friendship with this person. I have a relative relationship, whatever. It's a relative, in-law, whatever. I have a better marital relationship than this, and that's what you stick to. If that person does not fit, don't worry. They'll go out of your life one way or the other. Because you are God. No one else gets to decide. You get to decide your relationships, romantic, marital, friendship, everything, how they go. So there's some people are always going to be in your life, right? Certain relatives or whatever are just going to be in your life. You work at a place, there's always going to be certain employees that are just going to be there. But you get to choose how your life, how you interact with them. You can choose the reality and let it happen. I've done that. Even at this job, I've done that where a certain employee, blah, blah, blah. And I just imagine I'm always at peace here at work and I get along. Employees get fired. They were given problems. They just go. Or the other employees, they just start cheering up and my relationship with them was real good. Yeah. So no one's a God over your life, just like there's no idol, false gods of things and situations. Nothing determines your reality but you. You are God. Let me deal with this age-old question. Can you manifest for other people for them to get a better job or whatever? It's like Christians, can we pray for other people's healing and other things? No. I don't care what so-called any spiritualists or manifesting experts and coaches say. No. You cannot manifest for other people. You can only choose and desire what's true for yourself. You can say, well, I can choose and desire what's true for someone else. Then you're going to experience it that way. If you stick to that desire, that choice, then it's going to manifest. They're going to get that new job. You think you're praying for other people. Neville Goddard talked about lifting other people up in prayer. You see a homeless man, you imagine only good for him, that he's got a good sandwich or he has a home now or something like that, right? You're choosing how you're going to experience that person. You're not manifesting for other people. You're not praying for other people. Now, let's deal with Neville Goddard's statement. The seeming others. He wasn't saying other people aren't real. They're not a bunch of NPCs in your life. They're real in the video game too. It's other gamers. But there's actually only one game player, and that is universal mind, the consciousness, the all, or God, playing all the characters. And they're all sovereign characters. You get to choose how you interact with them, or what's true for you and that person's interaction, what is true for that relationship with that individual. Even a stranger in the grocery store. You get to choose how things go. You get to choose how traffic goes for you. Okay? I always arrive safely and smoothly in my destinations. Okay, that's the way you see your life. You truly believe that, and that's your choice. Then that's what's going to happen. If you desire that to be true for you, then it's going to be true for you. It'll manifest. It'll be true for you. Okay, so those two things I wanted to cover, or at least touch on. Manifesting for other people. That's like when I was a Christian, can you pray for other people for their healing or get a better job or whatever? No, and then it happens. Well, then you're praying to an outside God, and you think that these people outside of you can affect their reality. No, you can only affect your reality, how you relate to them, how you see them, what is true for them in your relationship to them. That's it. That's all you can do. Now, the New Thought movement, for those of you who know anything about the history of this stuff, the New Thought movement, beginning in the second half of the 1800s into the early part of the 1900s, the New Thought movement, some people could trace it back to a doctor named Phineas Quimby. And he had an idea. He was a Christian, but he was basing his idea that, he'd heard about mesmerization and maybe we can mesmerize people and things like this, and playing with those kind of ideas. Well, practical metaphysics and things like that, practical magic and whatever. Well, back then they still believed a lot in vibration and thought transmission. William Walker Atkinson, one of the three authors of the Kybalion, and wrote many, many other books under different pseudonyms, pen names. They believed in thought transmission. I've read some of Atkinson's books and writings, and he believed in thought transmission. It's all bullshit. But anyhow, Phineas Quimby, he believed that he could, if he'd seen a patient that was sick, he could heal them with their mind via prayer. He could pray for them with the Christian God. And miracles happened, no doubt about it. I've seen that back in my holiness days, my charismatic days, my early adult years. I've seen shit. I know that stuff works. But understanding metaphysics and quantum physics, I understand it's all consciousness. So you really believe. Well, if you really believe something, you're going to see it from that state of mind. And by the way, you don't have to really believe a thing for it to manifest, as I've said in my other videos. You just simply determined you're going to see it as that's the reality, physical reality, even if it's not showing that. You don't have to fucking believe it, and it'll happen. Because it's all about where you put your awareness. What are you aware of? Well, anyway, in the New Thought movement, very early on stages of the New Thought movement, manifesting and things like that movement, Phineas Quimby realized that he didn't have to be in the same room with the person. And he got to where he could, because he would just sit with the person quietly and just see them in his mind as healed or healthy or whatever. And it fucking happened. Look him up, Phineas Quimby. Well, then he realized that people could just write him letters, and he could, quote, pray or just quietly see them in his mind. And the Neville Goddard people would see, oh, that's imagining, that person, hearing about that person either through a letter or something, that they're healed. Well, yeah, because why? They've chosen that state of awareness. That's all the Neville Goddard and all these other manifesting techniques, Neville Goddard state of kin sleep, imagining, all that. It's just visualizing. It's just simply allowing you to see things from that point of view. Now, I have that new vehicle. I kind of see it in my head, me driving that new vehicle. Well, it's going to manifest not because of the technique, because you have changed state of mind. Now you see your life from that state of perception when it relates to the vehicle, okay, a better vehicle. That other people are sovereign, but they don't have, but so are you. So you can't influence their life. Now, you can talk to them and things like that, but it's all seemingly. This world is just a lucid dream, and it is the one mind, the one universal mind, the all, the universe, God, source, lucid dreaming or meditating through all of us and playing the video games, playing all the video game characters. He's got multiple controllers in his hand, God does, okay? And each character is sovereign. So you need to focus on your sovereignty, And yes, other people are gods, and you should respect other people anyway. But in the end, you get to choose how you experience them. Now, let me go back real quick. As I was thinking about some things I was saying in this video, where, you say, well, what about if this person imagines that you are, as a criminal, they imagine that you're, they choose that you're their victim or whatever. Okay, they can't interfere in your reality. Now, here's the key thing you have to understand. No one can desire anything that's impossible for them. So that desire wouldn't even enter into their consciousness. Why? Because they're still the one mind. People in metaphysics talk about thinking into the universal mind, or thinking into the field, or all that. It's actually one unified mind playing all the different characters. It's not. That's why you can't desire something you can't have. If you can desire it, it's yours, because there's no contradictions. So I've heard people, they stumble over this in the videos. I don't want to make this video too long, but they'll stumble over in videos and say, what if we all want to manifest the same lover, the same person, right? And I've heard people stumble over this and go, well, what'll happen is you'll get different version of that, and there'll be multiple versions of that person. And oh, for fuck's sake. If you truly desire a person and somebody else truly desires that person, conscious awareness, the one universal mind, is aware of that, and it doesn't contradict itself. There's something else going on there that's in the individuated persons, humans, what's really going on there. Yes, two women can desire the same man, or two men can desire the same woman. Absolutely. But can they both imagine they're in a relationship with her? Well, I guess you could have a relationship with both of them at the same time. Loving two women is like a ball and chain, or some country song like that. Well, loving two men would be two, say. So, but the point being is, there is no contradiction. So, the thing of it is if you truly desire a thing, it's yours to have. I know people can say, well, if 2 or 20 people desire the exact same item or person, then they're just going to get multiple versions at whatever. I mean, you can believe that stupidity if you want to. No. A lot of people think they desire something. It's just lust. It's out of fear. Anything that's not out of a peace and love mindset, a peaceful and loving mindset. Peace and love, and chicken grease, or whatever. But no, to you, it's very peaceful. To you, it's very loving. A lot of people, we think we want something, and it's just greed, or our ego mind, the physical mind, trying to figure out something. So it's this, it's more of a fear thing. You're trying to think logically, and that's why it's always best to stay general, in my opinion, about things ultimately. You can say, I want this one particular type of car or vehicle, or I want this one particular person, this one SP to be in a relationship with, or I want this one thing or whatever. But I always like to say I'm a happy car owner, a truck owner. I'm a happy, because I like pickup trucks and SUVs, that type of stuff. I've had lots of cars in my life, but anyhow, I'm a happy vehicle owner. I'm a happy homeowner. I'm a happy husband. I'm a happily married man. All of these type of things, you don't have to make everything so specific, okay? And the right person, the right vehicle, the right house, everything. You don't have to think about all these details. That's the ego mind trying to get in, right? Now, if there are certain details that come to you, and about your house or the spouse or something that you want, don't worry about it. That is part of your desire, okay? But in the end, you don't want to add things. And that goes with people. Again, this video is more about people, your relationship to other people, the seeming others. Being a God among gods. That's what I'm going to title this, something along that line, this video, when I get it all edited together. But you're a God among gods. You're a sovereign among sovereigns. They can't interfere in your life. If you have chosen a different path, your desires are different, and you've chosen your focuses, your states of mind, because you have multiple states of mind on different topics. On a car, you have a state of mind. You always have a good car, a bad car, whatever. It's states of mind. On health, everything. No one can interfere. It's an illusion that other people can interfere. Just like it's an illusion to think that you can actually physically do things or physically think things out. Okay? You are a chooser and experiencer node. You choose what you get to experience. You're a tentacle of the one mind, the one consciousness of God. Okay, you're a godlet. You're an individuated node of the one mind, experiencer node. That's what you are, and you get to choose what your experience is. By the way, free will. Like Thomas Campbell, the nuclear physicist who also knows about metaphysics and manifesting. He has a YouTube channel. He wrote a book called My Theory of Everything, or My Big Toe. He makes a great case that we all do have free will, because there would be no true experiencing if there isn't free will. It has to be free will. So everyone has free will. So everyone is sovereign. So you have free will to choose what you're going to experience, whether it's with other people and your relationships with those people, or things in life, things and experiences. You get to choose. We have that free will. Neville Goddard talked about we only had one freedom, and that freedom is to choose. You don't get the freedom to act, as Neville Goddard was very good about it. Your actions will be taken because of what state of reality on whatever the topic is that you have chosen. All right, I'm going to end this video, get it edited together, and get it uploaded. All right, fellow gods, have a good one.